Greetings, friends, and welcome to Enigma Night Gaming. My name is Liara, and I will be your guide in today's adventure. Today, we are playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and in today's episode, we are begrudgingly going to investigate this missing persons case. It is definitely not the case that Sholmes wanted, and, well, we weren't expecting to be his sidekick, but here we are. So, without further ado, let's hop into the game. Barclay Prison is on the outskirts of London, backing onto a lonely burial ground. Its four high outer walls loomed quietly before us in the fog. Having requested a meeting, we were shown to the governor's office in the watchtower. All right. 1st of November, Barclay Prison, governor's office. Oh boy. This place is full of hardened criminals. I cannot remember the last time a civilian was doing here. And you didn't want to talk to an inmate but to me. Oh boy. Did you ken who I am? I'm the Governor Barry Caden. Oh, yes. It's a pleasure. I'm Marinosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. And an Easterner, I see. Does that mean... Yes, I'm a visiting student of law from the Empire of Japan. Japan? Did you say Japan? Yes? Well, there's not any of your kind in here, laddie. Maybe you should try the prison next door, eh? I feel like he might be involved in the cover-up. I didn't notice another prison next door, sir. Anyway, we came to ask you some questions about... I did not like to be so direct, but... I have no intention of speaking with the likes of you suspicious-looking Easterners. Oh boy, we got another one of these guys. Now get out of my hair. So as soon as he finds out we're from Japan, he reacts like this. That surely means... I think it's because of the professor case. I think so too. I think it's definitely because of the professor case. You think so too? Yes, exactly. 10 years ago, Genshin Oshogi, also known as the Professor, was incarcerated at this prison. And then, after his execution, he apparently re-emerged from his grave in the cemetery behind the prison. I might have known. You're sniffing around about that case, aren't ya? Your agents, eh? Part of the professor's great web, no doubt. No, not at all. We just get gone with ya before I punch your lights out. We're going. Clearly, the ghost of that killer still haunts this place. We're not going to get anywhere here. Unless we can somehow prove to this man that there's nothing suspicious about us. Governor Caden? What are you thinking, Miss Osato? I feel sure that name came up in conversation recently somewhere. I was wondering if whoever mentioned him might have some ideas to help us. Come to think of it, I had the same feeling. We have... And that's Professor Mikotoba over there. Ah, hello, you two. I was just taking a moment to catch up on the world now that I'm unpacked. But where's Judge Jigoku? Yes, he's not the relaxing sort. He's taken himself off to pay his respects to all the legal bigwigs. Having only just arrived in the country today? Goodness, he's full of energy. Indeed. Professor, you mentioned something before. About how you'd known the prisoner governor at Barclay Prison? Oh, Governor Caden, you mean? So it is the same man. Brother, we must speak with the governor. But he refused to talk to us. He said we were suspicious Easterners. Oh boy. Well, I'm sure if I accompanied you, it would be a very different story. Oh, would you? That would be wonderful if you have time now. Sadly, as you can see, I'm very busy at the moment. Busy drinking coffee on a comfortable settee? Now, I have rather a lot to prepare for tomorrow, you know. Oh, sorry. I didn't say that out loud, did I? No, it's just everyone in this game can read your mind. You Mikitobas are alarmingly good at reading people's thoughts. Exactly. Or could it be that you Naruhodos are alarmingly bad at hiding your thoughts? I mean, maybe? Let's not fall out now. I have an idea. Oh, he's gonna write us a note. Okay. Maybe that'll work. What's he writing on that piece of paper? Here's a letter of introduction for you. Hopefully, when he sees my name, he'll change his tune. Ah, thank you. All right, so we have the letter of introduction entered into the court record. All right, so now we'll be able to go back to the prison. Good luck then. We're back, sir. I have a note for you. It says, blah, 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 like, I can't read it at all. Professor Mikitoba has wonderful handwriting, doesn't he? Are you sure about that? I literally can't read it at all. This dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. Is it just me, or does that make me sound extremely untrustworthy? Yeah, just a little bit. I do wish he'd at least called you a nice young man. I'm really not sure that would help. All right, well, we have this not suspicious note at all. If you just cast your eyes over this, Governor Caden. What's this then? You cannot pull the wool over my eyes, you good-for-nothing Japanese student. Mikitoba? That young doc from the forensic laboratory, that Mikitoba? Yes, exactly him. Oh dear, perhaps I should have said something sooner. I'm Yujin Mikitoba's daughter, Susato. Dings, you're the young man's daughter. And you did not think to mention that before? I do apologize. Aye, well, you best be taking a seat then. Can I offer you a cup of tea, perhaps? That's a tiny cup of tea. And did not forget to try these wee handcuff biscuits. Oh my goodness. That is an interesting tea time snack. Your father's influence is nothing short of amazing. I'm bitterly regretting not announcing who I was from the outset now. So then, what can I do for you, hen? Well, we're currently investigating a case. Yes, we are. It's one of your warders, you see. He's gone missing. Missing? Indeed. That's right. It's surely been reported to you as well, being the prison governor. Oh boy. I have not heard nothing of the sort. There's no missing persons in my prison. Oh. But how can that be? It's Mr. Daily Vigil, your chief warder. Eh, Vigil? That's right. His wife came to us and asked us to investigate his disappearance. Let's skip the part about him only going missing yesterday for now. Oh boy. Clearly that means something to him. Would you be so kind as to tell us what you know, sir? Aye, of course. Oh boy. So now we can talk to him about the guard, right? About the warden, Chief Warder Vigil. We understand that Mr. Vigil is the chief warder here at the prison. Aye, that he was. Strong sense of responsibility and dedicated to the job, no doubt about it. He was a fine warder. Was? Was? Sorry, did you say was? Aye, he does not work here no more. He left the job. Oh my. Well, this missing persons case is getting more and more interesting. When was this exactly? There's a question. When was it about? It cannot have been much less than 10 years ago now. He left after the professor case. He's been lying to his wife for 10 years? What? 10 years ago. He stopped working here 10 years ago. Aye, as I mind it. Do you ken I have not heard the fellow's name in all that time? That's a worry if he's gone missing, though. But Mrs. Vigil made no mention of it. I think perhaps, Mr. Naruhodo, that his wife simply doesn't know. I think she's unaware that he no longer works here. Governor Caden, can you tell us what happened? Why did Mr. Vigil give up his job here? That's important, is it? I mean, yes, I believe it may be. Everything seems to be connected to the professor. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? I can't help wondering, given that it was 10 years ago, which was exactly when the professor was being held at the prison. All right, so is it related? So Mr. Vigil actually resigned from the position of Chief Warder 10 years ago, you're telling us? What happened to make him leave the job? I'm wondering. In actual fact, he did not leave the job willingly. He had no choice in the matter. You mean he was dismissed? It was after a particular walk. Sorry, a walk? Aye, that's our word for it in here. A walk to the gallows. And an execution? It's the job of the chief warder to prepare the gallows tree and oversee any executions, you see. Only Vigil did something unthinkable on that last walk he was manning. What did he do? I'm sorry, but I cannot reveal that information. Why? What did he do? But I can tell you that it's very rare for a chief warder to be relieved of his post. But why wouldn't Mrs. Vigil know about it? She appears to be under the impression that her husband still works here. I would not ken anything about that, I'm afraid. Can you perhaps answer one more question about the circumstances of his dismissal? And what would that be, Hen? That last execution that Mr. Vigil was responsible for overseeing. Was it by any chance the professor's? My thoughts exactly. Did he, like, screw it up or purposely let him go, I wonder? Like, because some people were in agreement with the professor, right? I'm sorry, I really am, but I'm not at liberty to answer that. I see. I feel like that's a yes. Like, when people are like, I can't say that, it seems like a yes. My father came to Britain all those years ago in order to study forensic medicine. But you seem to have been well acquainted. The dead room, the prison, and the cemetery have a lot to do with one another. After all, they need fresh corpses for forensic research. Do you ken? Yes, I can imagine. The advancement of medical science isn't always particularly palatable. Your father worked in the laboratory just on the far side of the graveyard. In the basement of St. Sinners. It's still in use today. St. Sinners. That's come up before, I'm sure. Isn't that the hospital? Yes, that's right. We've been there. Mictoba and I used to ride to a carriage together and negotiate terms. For more fresh material, I suppose. Aye, and we used to sit in here for hours and gab on about dissection and all sorts. Oh, it takes me back. Over a pot of tea and a plate of cuff biscuits, of course. How charming. He was a good fellow, your father, reliable and dead set on his work. But I'm afraid I'll never understand you Japanese. Because of Genshin Shogi, I suppose? Oh boy. Well, are we being dismissed? I cannot tell you anything else. Thank you so much for your time, Governor. Oh, one moment before you're away, Hen. What does he have to give us? He's going to give us something? I'm sure I have it here somewhere. What is it? I'm curious. I found it. Here, take this as a wee souvenir of your visit to the prison. What is it? What is it? That's what I'm wondering too. That's Vigil's dismissal notice. It's 10 years old now, of course. Oh my, are you sure? Aye, it's no trouble at all. It's not the original, mind. Alright, so the harsh reprimand incurred by Mr. Vigil 10 years ago that resulted in him losing his job as chief warder of Barclay Prison. I wonder if there might be some more information in that. Thank you very much, Governor Caden. Well, in return, do me a favor and never come back here. Case is closed. I mean, he seems very well set on it, so oh boy. Well, I think we ought to return to Baker Street for the time being. Yes, I agree. We need to report back to Mr. Sholmes with what we found out about Mr. Vigil. Yeah, because technically this is Sholmes' case, so... What will he tell Mrs. Vigil, I wonder? Alright, I want to look at what that note said. Can we see it? Chief Warder Daily Vigil is relieved of his post with immediate effect for having violated Clause 132 of Her Majesty's Code of Conduct for Prisons. All rights to redundancy pay and other financial benefits are fully revoked. Aiding and abetting the escape from this prison of convict blank just prior to his execution. Details of this escape are still being investigated. Full cooperation with inquiries will be expected. Prisoner Governor Barry Caden. Additional notes. Indications are that the jailbreak plot was conceived prior to the convict's incarceration. It's believed that the convict engaged in some form of negotiation with prison staff in order to secure assistance. Full disclosure of information regarding these negotiations will be demanded. Okay, interesting. Alright, well, let's head back to Baker Street and talk to Sholmes. 1st November, Sholmes' suite. We're back! Hello, you two. It's Iris. I thought you'd be back before long, so I baked some scones for us all. Ah, so that's what the delicious smell is. Greetings, my dear fellows. Your hair is blue. You've returned a good deal sooner than I was anticipating. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. ... is right. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Say nothing. Your thoughts are written all over your faces in any case. It turns out that it may have been advisable to attest my hair color restoration tonic before application. Oh my, now you look like an anime character? Pray tell me, what of our water friend? Have you garnered some new information? Oh, yes, something very surprising, in fact. Though it's not a patch on your hair, to be honest. It most certainly isn't. But still, we discovered that... Sholmes. Ah, okay, it's her. Drop everything, Sholmes. This is more important. Gina? I can't Adam and Eve it. She's sad about something? Did she lose the dog? What's happened? Clearly a very grave matter indeed. For Miss Lestrade made no mention of my hair whatsoever. It's the boss. Oh, okay. What do you mean? Inspector Gregson? The boss is He's dead. What? What? They just found his body shot with a pistol. What? Gregson? Really? But Inspector Gregson? He was murdered? That's what I'm wondering. No, not Gregsy. Everyone is shocked. Come in, my dear girl. Tell us the whole story. Sniff, sniff. She's sad. All right. So tell us about it, Gina. Are you serious, Gina? Inspector Gregson was really shot? I don't know much about what happened myself yet. They're still there, investigating the scene. Where did this take place? A little rented room in a building full of flats in Fresno Street. The outskirts of town, nowhere near his home. What was he doing there? He was perhaps investigating a case then. Maybe. The thing is, no one at the yard knows nothing about no case around there. Oh, how strange. So what's going on here? The boss was... It was so good to me. I know I ain't up to much yet, but... One day I was gonna show him. I'd become a proper detective. I mean, she was trying. Hey, Toad, welcome in. Oh, Jenny. Who do they think did it? Who do you think did it? So who did this? Do you have any idea who the culprit is? They got him already. Already? They've caught the shooter so soon? A witness reported something was going on and the boys got straight down that and took care of him. Ooh, what awful person did this? Is it gonna be our missing person, I wonder? I still can't believe it myself. Gina? Oh, was it? Wait, maybe it was, maybe, oh, wait a second. It was the Reaper. The Reaper? What? What? Wait a minute. You don't mean they've arrested Lord Van Zeeks for it? That's right. The Reaper book's gone and shot the boss. No, Lord Van Zeeks? What in the world is going on here? Are you quite sure, Miss Lestrade? It's Berg Van Zeeks the police have arrested? I saw him with my own eyes. I'm in the interview room at the yard. I don't believe it. But there were witnesses, and they all say it was him. So you mean there were actually multiple witnesses? They heard the gunshot, apparently. And when our lot got to the scene, there was only the boss and that Reaper bloke in the room. Oh boy. But there's no way Lord Van Zeeks would have taken Gregson's life. I don't think so either. I just don't believe it. Are we gonna have to defend Lord Van Zeeks? Oh man, that's gonna be crazy. I don't believe it either. This is gonna be an interesting trial. Oh boy. Thank you for informing us, Miss Lestrade. This really is most terrible news. I'm dreadfully sorry. What are you sorry for? You didn't do nothing. I mean, that's just what people say, right? Well, anyway. I'm taking a cab over to the scene right now. Please come in all as soon as you can. You got to help. Poor Ginny. Alright. Gina's just not having a good day. It's a detective's lot to appear wherever some sinister plot has unfolded. Little wonder we all look haggard. Sometimes these things are almost too much for the nerves. Mr. Sholmes? What use is there in being a great detective if I fail to see something like this coming, How could I have let this happen to Gregson? Oh, man. Mr. Narhodo, I shall leave at once to begin my investigations. Of course, yes, we will too. It would be helpful if you could talk to Mr. Raper and see what you can glean. I'm sure you were intending to do so anyway. Until later then, because he can't go out with his blue hair, we have to do all the investigating. Inspector Gregson dead, and Lord Van Zeek's arrested? Bruno, Susie, I've called you a hansom. It's waiting outside. Thanks, Iris. Shall we, Mr. Sato? Yes. Off we go, then. 1st November, room on Fresno Street. Okay. Well, the body's not here. This really is an out-of-the-way part of London. I doubt many people find their way down this back street. So this dust-ridden, rented old room is where it happened, then. So this is where poor Inspector Gregson lost his life. Yes, and the police are already hard at work investigating, it seems. I don't see Mr. Sholmes anywhere, though. Perhaps his investigations have taken him elsewhere. Alright, what do you think you're doing there? Every one of them drawers has got to be taken right out so you can look underneath and all. I want the space above this ceiling checked, and don't forget to look inside the chimney stack too. Blimey, ain't you lot never going over an house looking for dough when the owners are out of town? Gina's obviously got some unique investigative technique she wants everyone to adopt. Alright, so you turned up at last. Mind you, I ain't been here long myself. Hello again, Gina. Sholmes has only just left. You're lucky I missed that. He went prancing around in here, pointing at stuff and flicking that out of his, and then just scarpered. Oh, he finished investigating already, you mean? Yeah, he didn't stop to say nothing to no one, not even me. Gina, would you mind if we investigated too? Listen, Otto. You're a lawyer, right? Yes? Why? Well, you're not thinking of trying to help that Reaper bloke, are ya? Oh, poor Gina. She's never going to forget, is she? That trial will haunt her forever. Gina, if you don't mind me saying, if Lord Van Zeeks really is responsible for this crime, he will be duly and fairly judged in court. I mean, especially if we're involved. I suppose you're right, yeah? Go on then, Otto. Get investigating. I want to know the truth about what really happened here. Thank you, Gina. Alright. Does she have anything to say? Let's talk about Gregson. Gina, what was Inspector Gregson doing here in the first place? That's what I want to know. It's, what, half a year since I got out of the clink? That's when I decided to give up me diving and become a detective instead. Oh yes, Mr. Sholmes twisted the inspector's arm to agree to take you on as an apprentice, didn't he? Something like that, I think. Anyway, the point is, I didn't really know much about the boss till then. But it turns out he's a bit of a legend at the yard. Goodness, really? They say he managed to solve some really tricky case just like that. He did? Yep, and ever since then, he started going out on all sorts of investigations, but always on his own. No one else at the yard even knows what half the cases he's working on are, apparently. That's not how it's supposed to work, is it? So what was the legendary inspector doing in a dingy little room like this? I know he had a lot of respect for the Reaper and all. And look where that landed him. Respect for the Reaper? In what way? I heard him say as much. I take my hat off to that fellow were his words. Not how the general public feels, is it? Most people are terrified of the Reaper. Yeah, the boss said that's exactly why he respected the bloke. I didn't realize Gregson held the Reaper in quite such high regard. He said something else to me and all, that I didn't need to worry about the Reaper, cause he only goes after people what are bad. It did kind of set my mind at ease when he said that. Right. Alright, what about the crime scene? What is this place then? Does anyone live here? Apparently, it's been rented by some code called Hugh Boone. Hugh Boone? It's sort of a here today, gone tomorrow name, that, isn't it? I wonder if it's an alias for our missing person that we're looking for. Wouldn't that be something? Is what we call an unidentified person. We haven't been able to get in touch with him. I see. Well, judging from appearances, I'd have to say this place hasn't been lived in for a long time, if ever. Right, all the lads from the yard plowed down to get stuck into the investigating. But there's so little air, no one knew what to do with themselves. Oh boy. I do wonder. Yes, Mr. Sato? Well, could it be that Hugh Boone is in fact Inspector Gregson himself? Oh, I didn't think about that. That's true. Could be an alias. What? How could that be? Well, if he was investigating on his own, it's quite possible that this was in fact some kind of secret office of his. I'd never even considered that. Nice work, Suze. We're actually following a line of inquiry like that ourselves. You are? If you look around the room, you'll see there's a few things that hint at it. Yeah, like this board over here. That was the first thing I thought of. We should really investigate this place in detail. Alright, now what about the incident? I see that's where the poor inspector was found, over there. Yeah, that's right. They said it was a single bullet what did him in. Apparently, the bullet went right through him and struck the candle tree on the wall. Oh yes, it's blown one of the candles apart completely. But why is this one not burned down and these two are burned down? I feel like that's significant. And the gun used is on the floor. It's the Reaper's, isn't it? No denying that. What? Really? How do you know that? Take it easy. I don't know what to do with myself when you stare at me with them big wide eyes. I'm only saying what I've heard. I don't know much about guns myself. But there's some big wig lawman or whatever who said so. Why don't you ask him? A big wig lawman, is it? Oh boy. Anyway, Fresno Street runs along under that window there. There was some street sellers just outside who heard the gunshot. Oh, but I don't recall seeing anybody outside. Yeah, they've all been taken down to the yard for questioning, that's why. We're talking about the yard's legendary inspector here, after all. They'll be getting a grilling. Do you think we might be able to speak with those street sellers ourselves? I doubt it. The lads at the yard will just want to know what you're snooping for, and you'll be up for a grilling and all. So we can't interview the witnesses then. Shame. Well, we'll just have to do our investigating here. Alright, so let's examine the scene. First, I want to see, we got picture frames here. There's a fireplace here. An empty fireplace makes a room feel even colder than it would be otherwise, doesn't it? It's thick with dust, look. I think it would be fair to say it hasn't been used in a very long time. In other words, whoever lived in this room must have been extremely hardy in cold weather. Or nobody lived here at all and merely visited when the occasion arose. Which would fit with her theory. I wouldn't like to say which is more likely. No, that's right. It's one or the other. Alright. What do we got here? Oh, it's a photograph stand. I suppose it must be a picture of one of Inspector Gregson's family members. Ah. Who is it? What's the matter? Your eyes look like they're about to pop out of your head. They are. Look, Mr. Naruhodo, quickly. Okay. Is that our person? Yeah, she looks like the person who hired us, right? Mrs. Vigil? Why do I feel like this woman is familiar somehow? Of course she's familiar. We met her only this morning. Ah, it's Mrs. Vigil. Is Gregson our missing person? I wonder. This makes no sense. Why would there be a picture of Mrs. Vigil in here? Did he live a double life? To be frank, I don't think I've ever been more stumped. I'm sorry to say, I have no idea either. The framed photograph has been entered into the court record. But no, it couldn't be because she was a juror and he was in the last case. So, unless she was a sweetheart from like previous years, maybe. All right, what about this board? This looks like some sort of notice board or something. And it's absolutely covered in scraps of paper. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, look! This, you mean? It's an autopsy report, isn't it? And these are case notes here, and details of prison inmates. Yes. In fact, they're all the sort of documents that only a detective could normally acquire. What on earth went on in this room? Some old newspaper cuttings. Ah, and this one here. Oh yes, the advertisement, you mean. To the Red-Headed League. But why? But why? What is that doing here? Whoever occupied this room was clearly interested in it for some reason. I wonder why. Can we talk to him? Excuse me. Oh, Inspector. Oh, sir. Poor man, he can't possibly be able to focus on investigating when he was so upset. Alright, we got you here. Excuse me? Sorry, sir, can't see a thing, sir. Too many tears, sir. Right, perhaps I'd better leave you to your work then. They're all distraught. Alright, so let's look over here. Let's look at this candelabra, because, like, it's kind of odd. The top of one of the candles in this candle holder has been completely blown off. Yes, there's wax splattered on the wall behind. Look. I suppose if a bullet had hit it, it does seem like that the bullet hit the candle, having first passed through the inspector's body. Ugh. Now that wax on the wall looks like blood to me. Alright. So we've got that entered in. What is this wig? That's what I want to know. This is like a wig? Ever since we came in here, I can't take my eyes off this thing. Oh, funnily enough, neither can I. It's a hairpiece, isn't it? It is. A bright red hairpiece. And I suppose the fact that it's right there next to where the body was found means we have to accept that Inspector Gregson wore wigs, does it? And in such a flame-colored red, too. Yes, that's a color we've come across very recently elsewhere, isn't it? Exactly. This is a vital clue, I'm sure of it. Alright, so the red hairpiece has been entered into the court record. Okay, so now, let's see. What about the gun? This is presumably the murder weapon then. Oh my. It is real, I suppose? I think so. Guns are so rare in Japan, I really know very little about them. There's one way to know for sure, Mr. Naruhodo. Fire a shot. No. If I did that, I'd be looking for a skilled lawyer to represent me in court. Slightly safer to just ask someone who might know, I think. All right, so we've got that added. Probably best to avoid handling it. What is this little doll doing here? Oh, what's this?
It would appear to be a little model policeman. It's rather charming, isn't it? In a way.
Seeing as it's on the floor here, do you think it belonged to Inspector Gregson?
It's a little hard to imagine Lord Van Zieks playing with something like this.
It's only about 8 centimeters tall. It could have fallen out of someone's pocket, I suppose. I think we should record it as evidence, just in case.
Yes, I agree. It is rather delightful after all, in a way.
Okay. We'll have to check out all of this stuff we're adding to our record. All right. Are you distraught too, sir? Excuse me. If you're looking down on us from the great beyond, Inspector, don't worry. We'll look after things at the yard. I've interrupted some deep thoughts there. All right. We got the outline. Let's see. So I suppose this is where the victim...
That's right. The rope is laid around the body to show exactly how it was found.
Poor Inspector Gregson himself has already been taken away, and would probably be under Dr. Syed's scalpel by now if not for what happened last week.
From the shape of the rope, it would appear that the inspector was curled up in a ball.
That seems odd to me.
Are you feeling all right, Mr. Naruhodo? You look like you've just seen a ghost.
I know it's just a rope, but, well, it conjures up quite a terrifying image, that's all. Especially with that blood stain next to it.
Oh, I do understand. In some ways, what we picture in our minds can be even worse than reality.
Susanna-san is so strong, though. She's taking this far better than I am. Okay, what about these broken windows? Could this be where bullets came in? Somebody's very haphazardly nailed these boards over the broken glass, haven't they? You couldn't even really call it a window anymore.
Well, if you remember the window in Mr. Natsume's room, that was totally blocked up with bricks. This one at least does still let in some light.
You could say nothing more about it. I'm starting to feel even more sorry for Mr. Natsume now. Alright, what else do we got? I think we may have looked at everything we can. Let's look at our stuff that we picked up. Alright, so... yeah, that's definitely the lady we saw this morning. I'm curious why this one is so much taller. Ah, there are some black marks here, look.
Yes, they look like some sort of scorch marks.
So perhaps the bullet struck the candle here, do you think? It's only this candle that's been cracked in half, it seems.
Yes, I think you might be right. Firearms are rarely used by criminals in Japan, so I'm afraid I'm not particularly knowledgeable about them.
Okay, but then what about the rest of this? Is there anything else that we can examine? I'm not sure. Let's see. Nothing about the wicks being burned. Okay, I guess that's about it then, for now. Let's look at the wig. Okay. I've always wondered what the underside of a hairpiece looks like.
That doesn't surprise me at all, Mr. Naruhodo. You always want to see what lies beneath, don't you?
I'm not sure that's quite how I'd put it. You must have to use a lot of bird lime to keep it in place on your head, so it doesn't get blown off in a gust of wind, I mean.
That might be a little inconvenient when you wanted to take it off again, don't you think?
Perhaps. But maybe. Is there anything... we've got these... maybe it was held with a strap because it's got these little hooks, right? Maybe. Alright, and then we've got the revolver. I suppose this must have been the murder weapon.
Oh my. It is real, I suppose?
I think so. Guns are so rare in Japan, I really know very little about them. Perhaps someone more familiar with firearms could shed a light on things here. Okay, we may need to show them the gun and see what we got here. Is there anything else we're gonna do a bad and look down the barrel? But yeah, I think that's about all we can get from it from now. Now let's look at the policeman figurine. Anything interesting about it? What do we got here?
The helmet of this charming policeman appears to be a little worse for wear.
I'm not convinced about the charming part, but yes, you're right. The head part looks like it's been fairly heavily manhandled. Almost as if somebody has enjoyed twisting it around and around for fun. Shall we try twisting it around too, for fun? Is it going to be a secret compartment? Oh. What's that?
It appears to be some sort of key.
But it's tiny, though. It couldn't be a key for a door, not at that size. So what is it for, I wonder? All right. We had a key. I wonder what it goes to. I don't know. But I think it is not... It's not for fun, for sure. Let's look at this. This looks like some sort of key.
Yes, it does. A very tiny and simple key.
What's a little key doing inside a figurine of a policeman in the first place? And what's it for? I wonder. I don't know. Interesting. Okay. Is there anything else we can talk to you about? No. Does Gina know about guns? Let's see if she knows about guns. Alright, so let's ask Gina about the gun. Gina, what do you make of this? What is that evidence? Work something out about what happened, have you? Oh, no, not exactly. I ain't been long enough in the job to get all this deducting business yet. But I swear I'm gonna get the person what did this to the boss. Alright, so she just says the same thing about the policeman. I assume she's gonna say the same thing about all this stuff. 1st November, local prison cell 1. There he is. Lord Van Zeke's behind bars. Like, that's a sight I never thought I'd see.
So it's true. He really was arrested.
He's sitting with his back to the wall reading something. I don't think he noticed us. Lord Van Zeke's? Fancy meeting you here. The last place on Earth I'd like to be, with the last person on Earth I'd like to see. I couldn't very well not come. We heard what happened. That the Inspector Gregson was... Go home. This has nothing to do with you. But...
Forgive me, Lord Van Zeeks, but I must disagree. Inspector Gregson was very helpful to us on a number of occasions. We're indebted to him. At the very least, we owe it to him to find out the truth about his death. You must help us with our investigations, please.
There's really nothing I can tell you. What were you just reading at the back of the cell there? Was it something related to the case? This. The Yard isn't quite so cavalier with its information as to share case details with a suspect. And this is a letter from an old acquaintance.
Oh, who might that be?
Someone you know, as it happens. Albert Harebrain. Of course, yes. I keep forgetting they went to the same university. And I would like to read my correspondence in peace. So let's get this over with, shall we? What is it you want to know? Strange. I mean, let's face it, Lord Van Zieks never minces his words. But they seem to have less bite than usual somehow. I mean, I guess when you're behind bars. Oh boy. What happened? Can you at least tell us your side of the story, Lord Van Zieks? What happened? How much do you already know?
We know that the inspector was shot dead in a small rented room on Fresno Street.
And that you were found there by the police when they arrived on the scene and immediately arrested.
We were told that there was nobody else in the room and that some witnesses heard the gunshot.
And then you're well informed. And there's really nothing I can add. The truth is, I don't know what happened myself. But the gunshot, obviously you didn't fire the gun, did you? I'm not in the habit of shooting the people I work alongside. I also heard the noise. However, so yeah, that's where I think he went to go investigate. Before I had a chance to investigate, I was apprehended by the arriving officers. So he doesn't actually know what happened.
If I might ask, what were you doing in that place to begin with?
I mean, that's kind of what I was wondering. Like, that's not a well-to-do part of town, and you are a noble. I don't need to answer that.
Oh,
I mean, it might help your case. After all, you're not representing me. He is going to need a lawyer, though. I mean, will you let us represent you? Who is going to be representing you in court, Lord Van Zieks? Anyone other than you, I should imagine. I mean, we'll probably win if you have us defend you.
Would I be right in assuming that you have no representation as yet?
Defense lawyers shy away from any trial involving the Reaper, as I'm sure you know. But this is different. In my career, all the defendants I've prosecuted, only 19 have ever been acquitted. Of them, 16 subsequently died in mysterious circumstances. Questions will be asked now.
Surely not.
I assure you, no defense lawyer will want to touch me with the end of a barge pole. But you didn't actually have anything to do with those people's deaths, did you? It's been 10 years now that I've been known as the Reaper of the Bailey. Believe me, nobody wants to know the true identity of this killer more than I. However, it seems things may come to a head before I have the chance to uncover the truth about that. What does he mean by that? Okay, what about Professor Harebrain's letter? After the trial, Professor Harebrain was supposed to go straight back to Germany, I thought. It's a letter to inform me of his safe arrival home. I arranged his passage by sea and rail. It's a relief, I must say. He should now be beyond the reaches of the Reaper.
Because the Reaper doesn't follow people abroad, you mean?
Yes, so it seems. Your stooped little Nipponese friend, for example. You told me he was keeping well in Japan when I inquired the other day. Yes, that's right. He's an author now, happily working in Tokyo.
So Professor Harebrain is safely back in Germany now.
He is. Oh boy. So, it appears our conversation has run dry. There was a 2-second silence, that's all. Well, in any event, if you'll excuse me now, I wouldn't like to detain you. I was wondering, Lord Van Zieks, if you'd like, I'd be happy to advocate for you. He's gonna, like, turn us down to our face, isn't he? You trust me, do you? Yes? I've heard you speak many times in court. I've seen how you treat people. So I'm quite sure that you would never have taken another's life. It's just my feelings can't be used as evidence in a court of law, sadly. It's a very gracious offer. However, I trust no one. What? Not the police, not the judiciary, and not you Nipponese. But please. I have no intention of engaging your services. The chasm between us is just too wide and too deep, it seems. I'd appreciate it if you don't visit again. Then neither of us will waste any more time. He has no goblets to throw against the wall. Perhaps we need to dig a little deeper and find out more about Lord Van Zieks and what happened to Inspector Gregson. Perhaps. 1st November, British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. All right, let's see if he knows something about Lord Van Zieks. You've made good time. I took an express train back to London. Who is he talking to? I'm not sure. I can hear Lord Strongheart. Can you?
Yes, it sounds as though he's talking to someone.
Oh. Is everything in place? I had a private compartment on the train, so I could check all the paperwork. It's...
Kazuma-sama.
Ah, your timing is impeccable. It is? No doubt you have heard the sickening news about the Reaper's latest devilry. Yes?
I'm sure you don't believe it, of course, though, Lord Strongheart. That Lord Van Zieks could have done such a thing to Inspector Gregson.
I believe in only the facts. And the facts in this case point to one thing. The unavoidable accusal of Lord Van Zieks for this crime. We must bring charges against the Reaper for taking the life of our legendary detective.
Oh no, surely not!
It is a truly regrettable situation. Tomorrow, the Forensic Science Symposium finally begins. At the very least, though, we can show the world our justice system's swift and equitable processes. So does that mean the trial is tomorrow? Precisely. Oh boy. In fact, this is a fine opportunity for introductions. Kazuma. Ah, but of course you're already acquainted, aren't you? Mr. Shogi here will be present at tomorrow's proceedings. Leading the prosecution. Oh, I knew it. Wait. What? Kazuma? As I'm sure you're aware, he's a very capable practitioner of law.
Kazuma-sama, a prosecutor.
Oh, man. That's crazy. I'm sure you can imagine that tomorrow's trial will be closely followed all over London. In fact, no. People all over the Empire will be watching closely to see how it unfolds. There's no salvation for anyone in a trial prosecuted by the Reaper of the Bailey, and now the Reaper himself must stand in the dock. Quite so. The public wants answers about the Reaper. Answers about how and why those who escaped conviction subsequently died mysterious deaths.
But Lord Van Zieks firmly denies any involvement in such matters.
And there have been thorough investigations that have proven him to be innocent. That's certainly true. Or it has been, at least until now.
Ah,
No, tomorrow's trial will mark the start of a new chapter in our country's great judicial history. I love how the birds just like fly. So dramatic. Prosecutor Oshogi, huh? So, Kazuma will be prosecuting tomorrow. That's right.
but he's a defense lawyer, Lord Strongheart.
Accomplished young law practitioners cannot pick and choose their roles. Oh? And imagine what it will mean for the prosecution to know the strategies commonly employed by the defense. Oh boy. A devastating combination, wouldn't you agree? Absolutely. I've no doubt at all that Kazuma will be razor sharp as a prosecutor.
But why Kazuma-sama? There are surely many other highly skilled prosecutors in Great Britain.
It was a personal request. I asked to be assigned to the trial. You asked her this? But why? It will all become clear tomorrow. I'm guessing you intend to stand for the defense, don't you? I mean, we'd like to. Although, the Reaper appears to be turning down all offers of representation. I mean, it's true, he turned us down.
I'm surprised such a personal request would have been upheld. It seems unprecedented, quite exceptional, in fact.
You are quite right, Miss Mikotoba. Tomorrow's trial will be unprecedented and exceptional in every way. After all, the accused is one of Britain's greatest prosecutors, the pride of the empire. It would be unwise to give the public a reason to perceive it as the judiciary closing ranks. So that's why you're happy to let a foreigner handle the prosecution. Ryunosuke, let's see how your skills have been honed after practicing law in this land for so many months. Kazuma, I don't understand why you're being so hostile to me now. This isn't going to end well, my friend. I mean, it's definitely not. What about the killer's gun? Oh yes, we noticed that there was a gun at the scene of Inspector Gregson's death. Do you know if it belongs to Lord Van Zeeks? That would be a question for the lead detective investigating the scene. Well, the thing is, she wasn't sure, so she told me I should ask somebody higher up who might know.
That's right, Mr. Naruhodo. Be direct.
It's certainly a model that's issued to all personnel involved in law enforcement, yes. Which includes prosecutors, as I'm sure you can imagine.
In that case, it could actually have belonged to the victim.
I mean, that's true. No, Gregson had his own gun on his person. What about Lord Van Zeeks? He claims it's currently not in his possession. What? According to his story, he lost it. In short, it's more than a little suspicious.
But just because the gun in question is the same type as the defendant's is no proof that it's actually his.
I mean, that's true too. No, of course not. Nevertheless, the situation is grave for Lord Van Zeeks. Oh man. Can we talk directly to Kazuma? I'm sorry for all the worry I've caused you, but it'll be all right now. Has your memory completely returned? Yes, completely. I remember everything, including what I was coming here to do. Right?
Kazuma-sama, I can't tell you how happy I am to see you alive and well like this. But how did you come to be here in London when you were suffering from amnesia?
It was the voice. This past year, I've been hearing it in my head constantly, saying the same thing over and over. Go to London. That's where your destiny awaits. It was that voice that guided me here to London.
I'm so sorry for what happened.
Oh boy. Anyway, my memory might have returned to me. But there's something that won't return to the way it was before. His friendship with us? Huh? What do you mean? I'm a prosecutor now, so I'm sure our paths will cross again very soon. Oh boy. He's not going to stand by our side anymore. It doesn't look like we're going to glean much more here. Well, thank you very much, Lord Strongheart. Remember, tomorrow's trial will go down in our empire's history. There's much you could learn from the public gallery. Oh boy. A public gallery? Sorry to have taken up so much of your time. We'll see ourselves out. I mean, time is very important to him. Yes? Before you go, Ryunosuke. Oh, what is it, Kazuma? I just wanted to thank you.
Kazuma-sama, what?
You took my determination to heart and brought it with you over the ocean in my stead. And you carried out my role to perfection.
You always were intent on studying British law in order to change our own justice system. It was your dream, and Mr. Naruhodo didn't want that to die with you.
Yes, but I had another purpose for coming here.
Oh.
I actually have a favor to ask. Which is? This trial I'll be persecuting tomorrow. I'd like you to be there to see how it ends. Right in front of me, as the defense counsel. Why? What's this all about? I know you have what it takes. But Lord Van Zieks would never put his fate in my hands. On the contrary, he recognizes your talent. He does? It's not easy to see behind the facade sometimes. Here, have a look at this. Gregson and Lord Van Zieks, is that his brother? That's
Lord Van Zieks and Inspector Gregson.
in a photograph that must have been taken some time ago by the look of it. I bet that's his brother. And who's the third person? It was displayed very prominently in the detective's office. In Gregson's office, you mean? Yes. What I'm trying to say is if you really think you can trust the Reaper, you might find that some straight talking makes him take a different view. Take it. Alright, so we go show the Reaper this photograph and see if he lets us defend him? I don't understand. Why are you giving me this? Just hurry, Ryunosuke. Visiting hours at the prison are almost over. What are you doing, Kazuma? Is he trying to use the system to get truth revealed as well? Well, let's head back to the prison and talk to Lord Van Zieks. Alright, 1st of November, local prison, cell 1. Here we are again. Lord Van Zieks is still reading that letter.
We've been gone quite some time, though.
Either he's an incredibly slow reader or it's an incredibly long letter. I might even be able to read English faster than he can. Boy. I was intending to ignore you entirely. But I can't turn a deaf ear to such an insulting Nipponese. Oh, sorry. I didn't think you'd hear that. I had the case notes brought to me in secret. I was reading them to pass the time.
Yes, we heard that your trial is set for tomorrow.
Which is none of your business. So, have you found a lawyer? How many times must I reiterate the same thing? This has nothing to do with you. In other words, no.
We were just talking to Lord Strongheart, and the prosecutor for your trial has been decided.
I'd expected nothing less, though I have no idea who it is. It's going to be Kazuma Shogi. A shogi. That made the color drain from his face. Well then. It seems I'm going to have to engage in conversation with you again after all. Oh boy. "10 years ago, my older brother, who was the director of prosecutions at the time, was murdered. And the killer, as you know, was a visiting student from the Far East. Not a single day goes by when I don't curse the name Ashogi.
Genshin Ashogi was Kazuma-sama's father.
So what cruel twist of fate is this now, 10 years later? The man's son is to crucify me in some kangaroo court. I still don't understand why Lord Strongheart apprenticed Kazuma to you. It's what he does. No doubt he knew of the young man's true identity from the outset.
But what could he have been hoping to achieve?
And let's not forget that it was only 8 days ago that Kazuma recovered from his amnesia. Why would Lord Strongheart assign this trial to somebody like that? Shogi. That name is the very epitome of my bane. The bane that is you Nipponese. Right, your hatred of all us Japanese. The Nipponese bane. I had only just been appointed as a prosecutor when it happened 10 years ago. My brother Clint, the director of prosecutions, was hunting down a mass murderer. The so-called professor, assigned to the investigation as his partner, was a certain visiting student dispatched from Scotland Yard. And that was Genshin Ashogi? Exactly. I developed a deep respect for the man. He seemed noble-minded and chivalrous in the extreme to me. But none of us saw the true nature of the man. So I lost everything when it happened. My esteemed brother, the people I believed in, and any semblance of right prevailing over wrong.
Oh, how awful.
To avenge my brother, I prosecuted in Ashogi's trial. It wouldn't ordinarily have been allowed, but I beleaguered the ascribed prosecutor until he consented. It was personal for him.
What do you mean by the ascribed prosecutor?
The man in charge of the professor case inquiry, Lord Male Strongheart. Wait, what? Lord Strongheart? He was a highly accomplished prosecutor, but he agreed to relinquish the trial to me and act as my advisor instead. Oh man. Since that time, he's the one person to whom I felt indebted.
I'm sure he must have seen your zeal for the case and recognized your potential as a prosecutor.
Anyway, time passed, but then earlier this year, who should arrive in London but you?
Huh.
And, of all things, as a lawyer. Sorry? Our bad? I felt your animosity the first time I ever faced you in the courtroom. Your obvious deep loathing of us Japanese? I kept telling myself it was illogical. But for so many years, the hatred had festered inside me. I could no longer control it. And I can understand why, now that I know the history. But in the same way that I felt the Nipponese to be the bane of my life, to Kazuma Shogi, I am the bane of his, the Reaper who sent his father to the gallows. He's looking for revenge, and he intends to take it in court tomorrow. Maybe. What about Inspector Gregson? Gregson's transfer to the Paris police prefecture had finally been arranged for the coming month, but he'll never make it to France now. It's a tragedy. Oh yes, come to think of it, he did mention something about that, didn't he?
I wonder, does it happen often? Being transferred internationally, I mean?
It's the first time I've ever encountered it.
Oh.
The Paris police welcoming an English detective is almost inconceivable. I can't imagine what kind of magic Gregson must have worked to put that arrangement in place. It sounds like that mystery has even the Reaper perplexed.
I'm afraid to say that we were very ignorant about Inspector Gregson's standing. We hear that he was considered something of a legend at Scotland Yard.
Is he going to reveal anything about it? Again, it was 10 years ago that he first made a name for himself by uncovering a decisive piece of evidence that exposed the professor's identity. If it wasn't for Gregson's singular approach to the case, the discovery would never have been made. What sort of approach? After my brother's life was taken, the inspector pushed for a full autopsy.
Oh my! 10 years ago?
Why is that so surprising? Autopsy was considered a desecration of the body at the time, and rarely performed. And my brother was of course a noble. That made the idea of it even more unthinkable. But something Gregson had dug up in his investigations made him determined that it was necessary. His powerful conviction somehow influenced the House of Lords, and as a result, I could avenge my brother's death. So you must have had a great confidence in the inspector's abilities then.
And it's even more inconceivable that you would have taken his life.
I don't have confidence in anyone.
Oh.
And I'm sure Gregson felt the same way. I've no doubt he thought of me only as the ominous Reaper, just like the rest of London. That's not true at all. In fact, we have evidence to prove that. What really went on between Lord Van Zieks and Gregson, I wonder? What was the true nature of their relationship? Alright, we'll come back to that. Let's talk about your gun first. About the gun used to shoot the inspector that was found at the scene. Ah yes, that's not mine. Really? Because the common opinion seems to be that it is. What do you expect me to say to that?
Lord Strongheart informs us that you claim to have misplaced your firearm.
As embarrassing as that is, I'm afraid it's true. When did you lose it then? That I don't know.
Oh.
I was issued with a revolver when I first became a prosecutor 10 years ago. I must have stowed it somewhere, I suppose. Or left it somewhere, perhaps. He's never had to use it in 10 years?
You have something in common with Lord Van Zieks after all, Mr. Naruhodo. A talent for misplacing things.
No, no, no. This has nothing to do with me. Don't drag me into it. Don't make the mistake of associating me with this Nipponese.
Oh dear, the rift is very wide, isn't it?
So it's not decisive evidence, clearly. But it doesn't look good, that's for sure. Alright, so now we show him the picture, right? So let's present him this picture. Lord Van Zeeks, we came by this old photograph. Where did you get that? It was taken when I became a qualified prosecutor. It's almost unbelievable. I assumed it was lost. Is the man on the left there? Yes, that's my brother, Clint. All right, that's who I thought it was. So it features Gregson and Clint. It had to be, really. Apparently, this picture was prominently displayed in Gregson's office. He had a deep respect for you, you know? Were you aware of that? Respect? That's nonsense. No, we've heard someone attest to it very clearly. Inspector Gina Lestrade, no less. Oh boy. Well, maybe once, yes. There was a time things were like that. We were brothers in arms, jovially discussing the future of justice and other such lofty subject matter. Before your brother was killed? That was a nice glimpse of the past. I thank you. I feel as though I got a nice glimpse of the past then, too. There was a glimmer of light in his eyes, a brief twinkle, an insight into the true nature of this man known to all as the stone-cold Reaper of the Bailey. Will he let us defend him, though? That's the question. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, that's the first time he's ever used my actual name. I've lost all confidence in my country's justice system. I don't trust the police, the judiciary, or the lawyers. But there's still one thing I'm willing to believe in. What's that? That which you see in the eyes of another across the courtroom. A simple determination to know the truth. Lord Van Zeeks? From the very first time we clashed in the Bailey, almost a year ago now. I couldn't deny it, even though I dearly wished I could. Here is a loathsome Nipponese who has absolute integrity as a lawyer. It's a contrast of terms for him. There are only two other men I've known with that same look in their eyes. My brother Clint and Genshin Ashogi. The man he idolized and the man who betrayed his trust in the most hideous way. When you showed me that photograph just now, it reminded me. You mean this photograph? Back then, I was able to laugh. I was free of the shackles of mistrust that plague me now. I looked to the future with hope. He did. Since then, I've protected myself against betrayal by refusing to trust anyone. But at times, the mire into which I've sunk makes it impossible, almost impossible, to breathe. I'm so sorry. It's going to be hard for him to say this, I think. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I want to believe in that look in your eyes. I need to believe in it. In tomorrow's trial, will you advocate for me? That had to have been the most difficult statement of his entire life. Of course I will. It would be an honor. Wow. I'm so pleased, Mr. Naruhodo. Then my life is in your hands. Well, we're going to do our very best for you. We can't have Lord Van Zeeks destroyed. For Lord Van Zeeks. That must have been an incredibly hard thing to ask. Yes, I 100% agree. which is why I simply cannot let the man down. This is going to be the ultimate trial of the century. Tomorrow in the Old Bailey against my old friend Kazuma. We're going to crush Kazuma to dust. We have to. Well, that was an exciting, unexpected climax to our story. We went from kidnapping, simple kidnapping for Sholmes, wasn't even our case, to now not just a murder, but the murder of the century. Gregson has been killed, and Van Zieks is the suspect. And not just that, but the prosecutor is Kazuma. All of the key players are coming into play for an epic courtroom battle. I can't wait to see what happens as we investigate this case and present evidence and try our very best to foil Kazuma, because even though he's our best friend, we have to defend Van Zieks no matter what we do. So, if you like this kind of content, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you want to watch live, we're on Twitch at twitch.tv/Liara27. I have my schedule posted in the about and in the description. And if you want to see which games we're playing each day, I post them on x.com/Liara27. And I hope you'll join me in the next one. Until then, guys, bye.